Hey guys, another live tonight. Sorry that we had to set it off from last night, but we're back with our live from Summit Fishing. Tonight we're going to have our weekend winners jump on with us and just talk about the river last week. Before we add them to the live here, a couple of things. Uh, had some really good feedback on using the app for the first time ever for an MTT tournament. I had used it personally before, and I was pretty confident that it was going to do what we needed it to do. It didn't come without a few stress points on Saturday morning for all of us probably, but it went really 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 well. Um, we've had we've had some good messages that have come through. People have expressed that at first, maybe being a naysayer and maybe just not thinking it was going to go well. But I think it went really well. The leader, if you were entered in the tournament, you'll be able to see the leaderboard. Unfortunately, other people will not. If you want to share the leaderboard with somebody, you can share the link from the leaderboard at the top of the page. I will reopen that after our live tonight. So with that, I'm going to add, it looks like we've got Mike Schomer and Hunter both in the waiting room here. We'll pull them in and we'll just talk about the river and talk about what's coming up. We've got a couple of other announcements to make tonight as well. I'll add Mike and Hunter. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
I got you.
All right. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Mike probably saw Maria and I fumbling around in the background while you were getting set up. We're trying to figure out the best way to use this platform for our live takeoffs in the morning, mostly so that we don't have to hear the donkey in the background. That might have added to some views on our live. I think people watched it just to laugh. But we've got some good things coming for our tournament in May. Turtlebox has provided us with a new outdoor PA system. So it'll work really, really well. It'll be completely disconnected from my phone, where when you guys start taking your check-in photos at 7 o'clock during takeoff, every time a photo went off, I got the donkey sound in the background during our takeoff. So we'll cut down on the herd of donkeys in the background. But, we can start with Saturday. Hunter, before we start, actually, Maria pointed something out to me today that I thought was super, super cool. Both of you fished with your dads, and both of you won with your dads on the river. I think that is just a super cool thing. I know Hunter, Bob said that he had never won a tournament on the river. I know he's fished on the river, and I know Mike was excited to see us come back to the river. So super, super cool.
No, yeah, it was super cool. I was happy to fish with my dad. We don't fish a lot of tournaments together, but last year we fished the first one on Big Stone, and he's never won a tournament on Big Stone either. So we got him a win there, and now we got him a win on Pool 4.
Yeah, you guys actually rounded off your year winning our Directors Cup at the resort as well.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet also.
Yeah, we were actually up there today talking to the guys about our upcoming events, and I saw, you've got your trophy up there from that.
Yeah.
So as a reminder that you guys ended the season on a high note, started on a high note. I know with your schedule this year, it's going to be a little tough for you guys to, get in the boat together probably as much as you'd like to, but Saturday started out cool in the morning. It warmed up. The bite. How was the bite for you? I mean, I see it on my end as it comes through on the app. We see what people are measuring for fish and whatever. How was it? How was your day one?
Oh man, that was a long day. I mean, it was a long day all pre-fish. I knew the bite was really tough, and you started to hear guys around you even saying the bite was really tough, and guys were kind of freaking out and struggling. And I knew it was tough, but I knew I had to find a spot that I could just anchor in and stay in for a long time that I had a lot of confidence in, and that's pretty much what we did all day Saturday. We hit anchor lock and we just stayed put and cast it as many times as we could. You know, bites were tough to come by. You had to have your bait in the water, and you needed to fish as hard as you could.
Yeah, it was something to see on my end, as fish were coming in from everybody on Saturday. Um, there was a lot of fish that in a normal tournament we would probably not see hit the card. And
Yeah.
I think down there people just knew that if you caught a fish, you better put it on your card. Well, the app auto calls too, so there's no harm in putting it on your card. Nobody wants to lose by a quarter of a pound when they had a quarter pound fish that they threw over the gunnel. So it was neat to see, and then Sunday, Mike, how was it for you Sunday? How was that? Did you guys fish Saturday with us?
Yeah, they placed eighth.
Eighth.
And Mike Sr. made sure to let me know that it always happens that he's one below the payout on Saturday. That's what he told me.
Yeah, Saturday was a tough fight. I mean, pre-fishing during the week, we were doing pretty good. Dad was out quite a bit Monday through Thursday, and the bite was pretty. I mean, it was good and consistent. I don't know what happened come Friday. The bite kind of went south, and it showed Saturday. I mean, you heard it from all the other fishermen. It was tough, and I was hearing it Friday, and it was a grind. We covered a lot of water. I mean, we didn't travel far, but we covered a lot Saturday and just to get our fish.
Right. Right. And then Sunday it turned around. It was again on our end. It was crazy to see how the leaderboard changed from Saturday to Sunday. Sunday, um, I think everybody had a tough morning, and then a couple guys had a tough morning, and then that was their day, and then the day got better for some, didn't get better for others. But that's I think that's fishing, right? But what changed for you guys on Sunday?
Sunday, I mean, we fished all our same spots as Saturday, and we knew these areas were gonna either they were gonna spit out some big fish and you'd get a few here and there, or otherwise you weren't gonna get anything. And we just happened to stop into a couple spots, and we kind of really worked the rocky shoreline pretty hard on Sunday, trying to figure out, because with this water dropping a little bit, we're trying to find the perfect seams where these fish were, and we stumbled across two of them, and got lucky enough to got our 5 fish off 2 different seams in there. It
Yeah,
wasn't bleak.
Specs-
I think it was 10 a.m. before we had a fish here on Sunday.
right.
yeah, definitely. Sunday was one of those things that the water actually had dropped too. And I had noticed early in the morning, this is kind of where we messed up. We were fishing a rocky shoreline also, and there was the seam was really tight earlier in the week and towards the end of the week. And there was one part of it that was really coming out really good, and that was kind of the part I had stick to. And halfway through the day, Sunday, I had looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, that seam had pulled off the shoreline a lot more. And it stayed in my head all day that I should just go fish the whole thing. And I didn't move, and it definitely bit me. And I definitely think, I mean, there was quite a few guys that got them all the way up that seam. But
Yeah, for the guys that aren't so familiar with river fishing, when you say the water dropped, when you're lake fishing, that's not something you really worry about, right? What causes the water to drop overnight?
Mike would know more than I do.
That kind of all depends, even downriver, if they got the rollers open or if they got them partially open. But I mean, we had the water came up from some snow and some rain, a week and a half ago, and it had peaked, I think last weekend, and it was slowly, coming back down. And I mean, I watch that quite a bit because you can I've been fishing the river quite a few years, and you can kind of predict where these fish are going to be with what this water's doing.
How much do you think it dropped overnight?
I don't know if it was more than 4 to 6 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, but water temp. When early in the year when you're fishing water temps and you're fishing, those things, shallower water and things like that, it doesn't take much to really make fish move into a different spot, and that's not, a lot. On a lake you can go and you're like, if they're there, they're there. They're probably going to be real close the next day, and river fishing's a different beast. You hear it all the time. Boy, we're river guys. We're glad you guys came back down to the river. And then you hear the lake guys be like, I don't know why I'm here, man. I don't know, I'm a river guy. And with the dam, there's so many with the dam system on the Mississippi. Like you say, what's open, what's not, what's are they holding water? Are they letting water move? None of us ever know from day to day, night to night, what they're going to do with the locks and dams on the river. So, there is a lot of change. People talk about the pre-spawn fish, spawning times on the river. How do you think we hit that this weekend? We're going to be back there in 3 weeks. 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Don't rush it. We'll hit the busy season for tournaments soon enough, but we're going to be back there in a couple of weeks. You think the bite's going to be, all again different, or is it going to be, pretty close to the same?
We hit it right on the nuts, I think, for spawn. That's what I'm thinking. And I had actually most of my fish were post spawn. And I had some bigger males too, but I had fish that you definitely could tell were post spawn. Their egg sacs were totally blown. They were saggy. There was definitely pre-spawn fish around. I think I heard of more pre-spawn fish than I did post-spawn fish, but they were definitely in the middle of their spawn. That's what I think. And in 2 3 weeks when we go back down there, you'll get fish that are headed back towards the lake. You got post spawn fish, they're hungry. I think the bite will be a lot better. There's going to be a lot of different ways to catch them, some tougher ways to catch them, but some guys are going to get them really, really, really good. So,
Mike, what do you think? How do you think we hit it?
Yeah, exactly. It was middle of the spawn, and I was kind of surprised because I figured going into this we'd be more down towards the head of the lake fishing, but that's kind of what we were leaning towards going in. But I was kind of surprised. The majority of our fish we caught were pre-spawn fish. I mean, come that May tournament, exactly like Hunter said, they're going to be feeding heavily, and it all depends on what this if we get enough rain, there'll probably be a lot of fish in the river. If not, I think a majority of these fish are going to be down towards that head of the lake area and moving into the lake.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's always interesting when you hit a body of water at two different times, and with a river system and lake system, they're connected. Obviously, it's crazy to see how just a couple of weeks really, really, really changes the bite. That's why we're gonna split Winnibigosh this year. We're gonna hit it early and we're gonna hit it late. It's gonna be, it'll be a very different bite there, just the same. But now we're talking months. On the river, you get it just a couple weeks, and the bite is completely different. So, yeah.
That's definitely that spawning period. There's a lot that can happen, a lot that can happen fast, and if we don't get any rain, those fish will flush out towards the lake. I mean, they like current, so if you get current, a lot of them will stay in the river for a longer amount of time. But if you don't get that current, they just usually head back for the lake and start feeding.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on. I hope we're going to see you guys both down there in May. I don't know what your schedule looks like, Hunter. We never know where you're going to pop out. So, but
I'm gonna make it.
yeah, it'll be our first 2-day. We added a 2-day down there. That way, guys can get a couple of tournaments in before even opening of fishing. The guys that fish this weekend that we just finished and then fish in May, be just about qualified for our championship. But they just gotta sneak in a couple more 1-days throughout the entire summer, and we did that. And there was a lot of feedback throughout the year, constant feedback of let's go back to the river. So if you guys get cross paths with Mike Utley and Steve Nocky, make sure you tell them thanks for helping. Maria and I get that set up to come down there. They helped us with permits. They helped us with destinations, places to have it. And I would have been going in down there totally blind. The MTT's not been down there for a handful of years, and that was all before we bought it. So we were super fortunate to have those guys lend a hand in getting it back down there. We had a lot of fun. It was a different place for us. It's always fun to go somewhere else and get the feedback from folks. But we're definitely looking forward to going back down there in a couple of weeks and seeing what happens down there. And hopefully we'll have some of our audio visual wrinkles worked out. Fish Donkey doesn't usually do that check-in photo. That was something that we kind of added on the fly with them. It worked really good. That way we knew everybody was in the app. Everybody was comfortable with it. And if we weren't getting photos, we were able to call people out on the lake and say, "Hey, Hunter, we don't have your check-in picture. Can you run that through just so we know you're in the right place?" So when we decided to let everybody go at 7:00, and I said, "Oh, make sure that's your first picture." Well, some people were still waiting in line to go, so they started hammering in those pictures, and yeah, it sounded like we were standing in a farmyard full of donkeys. So it was we learned some things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited to get back down there in a couple of weeks, of course. Next week for our live, we're just going to let everybody know we will be on location out in Muskegon, Michigan at the Whitewater headquarters with the guys out there talking about some of their new and upcoming products, some of the stuff they've got out, and let them explain what's different about their product, along with some of the stuff that I've been using since before this first tournament. And so I think that'll be a lot of fun. Other than that, we've got the river in a couple weeks, and then we've got Winnebagosh, and then we're on our stretch on Mille Lacs before we go to Lake of the Woods. So things are looking good all around. We've got everything set up for everybody. Watch our Facebook. We were approached by a third party for some lodging discounts and possibilities for some of the out-of-towners coming down to the river. So we'll put that out so you guys can maybe save a couple bucks on lodging when we go back down in a couple of weeks. So with that, I thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you on the river.
All right. Thank you.
All right. You bet. Thank you. So there you have it. That's what we had from our winners from Saturday and Sunday. We'll try and get our weekend winners on the following week, each week, as well as some other folks on to just talk about how things went down on the river. As well as we'll start working our sponsors in to get on and talk about what they've got going on for us. There's been a handful of emails and messages lately asking about discount codes from our sponsors. I know I've said it's coming. We waited until pretty much now to compile those from some of our sponsors. With starting early, I think our timelines with our sponsors just kind of came together fast, and we didn't get those compiled into a spot. So those will come out via email to the email that you used to when you paid your membership. We will do a email out through a MailChimp. It's called email system. Make sure you guys all get the email. And then as we update, we will email out on there as well. We're also going to use that same email list for any important announcements. If for some reason something crazy would happen, like we would have to change where we're going out of for a tournament or something, we would put that out in that email chain as well. As we can do, we'll do Facebook, of course, and we're working on a text message, an SMS dialer, so that we can send those things out as well. As always, with questions, reach out to either my cell phone or the MTT phone, which is listed on the internet. Facebook Messenger works just fine. Just remember, do not text a message to the 612 number for the MTT. That line does not receive text messages. It actually is forwarded to my personal cell phone so that we're sure we're not missing calls. Other than that, I think that's kind of what we got for this week. We will see everybody in a couple weeks. Have a good holiday weekend coming up, if that's your thing to celebrate. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great week.
Bye.